how do I buy Bitcoin if I can't go to an exchange? And let's strip it back to the white paper of what Bitcoin is. And people need to understand this. It is peer-to-peer.
Yeah.
It is not a centralized exchange. That goes against all fundamentals of Bitcoin. So to any new traders out there that are even entering this space, entering crypto, how can they purchase Bitcoin? How can they, not your key, understanding not your keys, not your coin, and how can they protect themselves? And I think I'll let you just go off the rails. That's a long conversation.
Yeah. So as far as traders are concerned, anybody wanting to trade Bitcoin, just keep the bulk of your stack off of the exchange and trade on the exchange. But for those that are wanting to invest in Bitcoin and want to acquire it peer to peer, which in my opinion, it's Satoshi's vision of this peer to peer network. There's a few options. And it depends on how connected you are. I mean, you could go, the biggest supply of new Bitcoin into the ecosystem comes from miners. So if you happen to have a friend or anybody who is mining, just ask them, because they're always looking to sell. That's how they keep the lights on. They sell Bitcoin. So if you know a miner, ask to buy directly from a miner. If you don't have access to a miner, you can, if you're fortunate enough to have a non-KYC ATM in your area, you can, check out bitcoinatm.com, or you just Google Bitcoin ATM and see what pops up and see if there is a Bitcoin ATM in your area. You could purchase Bitcoin that way. If you go to meetup.com and join the local crypto meetup, you can probably buy some Bitcoin or any crypto from participants at the meetup. Usually there's going to be an agreement on spread. So the typical charge is going to be anywhere from 3 to 5% above market value to buy peer-to-peer. But this is the best way because it's really, it preserves all of the properties that Bitcoin was intended to have. Unconfiscatable, immutable, permissionless, censorship resistance. A lot of those qualities don't exist when you use a centralized exchange. Even when you take your crypto off and put it onto a wallet, because you've been KYC'd, the wallets have been identified.
The IP.
And the IP has been identified, and you are being tracked. They don't even need the IP because they have your passport and they have the wallet that you removed your funds to. So they know who you are, they know what you hold, and they know where it is.
Yeah. Another one, was it the OG Local Bitcoin, this website?
Localbitcoins.com now requires KYC. It's not good anymore. What I recommend people go and check, and I actually have this in my link tree, so I'm going to give you the link tree for my...
We'll put that, all this stuff, all links in the description. He'll feed it to me so you can, all this information like that you're giving as well. We labeled off a bunch of names. We'll try to put as much information in the description so you don't get too lost on trying to find it later as well.
But the website's called KYC Not Me, and it's KYC not.me. And that's the website, and it'll give you a list of many different options where you can purchase Bitcoin, Monero, and sometimes other cryptos using fiat currency on-ramps. So that's a great resource. I use Bisq, which is honestly not beginner-friendly, but if you don't have the connections, if you don't know a miner, if you don't have an ATM, if you don't have a local crypto meetup, you're running out of options. You're going to have to do a little bit of homework and learn how to use peer-to-peer exchanges. They are a thing. They do exist. They have applications you can download on your computer, and it is a decentralized exchange that operates peer-to-peer. So this stuff exists.
Does it work like an escrow?
It works like escrow. So that's kind of the tricky part to getting started, is both parties need to contribute Bitcoin to initiate a transaction. So you do need to find Bitcoin from someone. You need to at least get your first $100 worth of Bitcoin from somebody.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are options out there. And once you go peer-to-peer, for the DCA crowd out there, for the individuals who are accumulating Bitcoin for the long term, I highly recommend that you acquire your Bitcoin peer-to-peer, because you're never going to run into a situation where maybe governments don't agree with Bitcoin, maybe governments don't agree that it's a good thing for the economy, and they request that you give them the Bitcoin. This has happened in the past. Those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. This happened with gold. I think it was Roosevelt that needed money for the war, and they took everybody's gold.
House to house.
They gave them, house to house. They gave them, certificates of deposit in the banks, and their money was still good, but their money was now controlled and their money was captured.
Yeah.
I don't, that is one possibility. And sure, it's not likely, but it's happened in the past, so it could happen again. And the only way to really defend yourself against that is to acquire Bitcoin that nobody knows exists. And you can do that with peer-to-peer.
And through miners and whatnot.
Yeah. A lot of people get this wrong too, because they think that Bitcoin is a fully transparent blockchain and it offers no privacy. Yes, it is a fully transparent blockchain. You can look at every single transaction. You can look at every single wallet address. But if you don't know who owns that wallet, it's private. It's pseudo-anonymous. It's a private blockchain as long as you can't peg an identity to a wallet. So
yeah, and we're gonna jump. I'm gonna do a quick shout out to our sponsor 5-Star, but before that, after this shout out, I will talk about there is a bit of a risk that I foresee happening where just basically like certain wallet addresses that haven't been KYC'd might get blacklisted coming to exchanges to convert to fiat, which is definitely a possibility. But there's always going to be ways around that.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this content, we're doing 5 clips like this a week. If you want to watch the full podcast, click here.